Hello, welcome to another episode of In the Trenches with Gang Green. I'm your host, Bubbs. Today is Thursday, July 18th. Hopefully, everybody is having a good day so far today. New York Jets rookies report to training camp today. Exciting times to be a football fan, exciting times to be a New York Jets fan. Training camp is pretty much here. Rookies report today for other teams across the league. Everybody has reported. Veterans for the New York Jets will report early next week. So exciting times. Football's in the air. We have kind of really gotten through the last dead week of the NFL offseason of the NFL calendar year. And next week, training camp will start up and we'll be in full swing with back together weekend next weekend and training camp, open practices, and all that great stuff. So exciting times in the NFL world, exciting times to be a football fan. This is episode 326 of the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. I thank you, as always, for joining me. Today, we've got two topics involving two receivers for the New York Jets. One, a rookie who will be reporting to Florham Park this afternoon, and the other, Garrett Wilson. Malachi Corley will start with him. He signed his rookie contract after a little while, kind of a couple months here since April when he was taken in the third round by the New York Jets. Was the last New York Jets rookie to be signed, but they get the deal done 2 days before rookies, really a day before rookies report. And now everything will be all ready to go by the start of training camp. And Garrett Wilson, the NFL, ESPN continues to release their rankings of top players at each position, rankings by executive coaches and scouts. And Garrett Wilson made the list as an honorable mention. We'll break that down and some of the things that he may have in store this season for the New York Jets. Now, before we begin, let me tell you about our podcast sponsors, podcast partners over at SeatGeek, our brand new podcast partnership. Fired up to partner with SeatGeek here on the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. For those of you that don't know, SeatGeek is an app that gathers tickets from all over the internet for every single sporting event. Anything that you can get a ticket for, SeatGeek has it. It's not just football. It's not just basketball. It's not just baseball. It's not just hockey. It's not just the four major sports. It's soccer. Any sport you can think of, they have it. Not even just sports. Plays, shows, anything, concerts, anything that you can get a ticket for, SeatGeek has it. And when shopping, they score each ticket from 0 to 10 with a green, yellow, and red dots. Green meaning good, yellow meaning okay, red meaning bad. And that is based on the deal you are getting. So you know if you're getting a good deal or a bad deal on your seat. Plus, my viewers will get a special deal. Use promo code Bubs on Sports for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Click the link in the description down below to download the SeatGeek app. And once again, that is promo code Bubs on Sports for $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Get yourself out to some of events and help support the podcast. Also, Huga House. You see me rocking my Huga House right now. You see me rocking my Huga House hat often here on the program. Very proud to call them a partner as well. Click the link in the description down below. That'll take you to the Huga House store. You want to get the hat I'm wearing right now? You want to get the hat Shane Gillis is wearing, which is the same one I'm wearing, or any of the hats that Aaron Rodgers wears, even Shohei Ohtani, JT Realmuto, division rival Josh Allen. Many celebrities, many athletes rock the Huga House vintage-inspired hats. If you want to get yourself one, use promo code BUBS for 15% off any purchase at Huga House. They just released 10 brand new hats, but they are going fast. So if you want to get yourself one of the 10 brand new Huga House vintage-inspired hats, click the link in the description down below. Use promo code BUBS for 15% off your purchase. Now let's get into today's pod. So after a while of waiting, or a long wait, I should say, since April, the New York Jets have now officially locked up all of their draft picks. The New York Jets this season: Olu Fashanu, Malachi Corley, Braylon Allen, Jordan Travis, Isaiah Davis, Quantez Stiggers, and Jalen Key, Mr. Irrelevant, were their 7 selections in the 2024 NFL Draft. All 6 of them were signed. We were just waiting on Malachi Corley. He was the 7th, so the New York Jets have now officially locked up their entire 2024 draft class before the start of training camp. Malachi Corley signed a 4-year deal. It is a $6.073 million contract, so the typical rookie deal there for Malachi Corley, and the Yak King is official a New York Jet. I guess if you want to call it that, I guess if you want to make it official there, put pen to paper, Corley is ready to roll for this season. It'll be interesting to see what Corley's role is this year. Obviously, we're all fired up. You know, the Yak King is his big nickname, one of his best traits. This was a guy that is very athletic, had 79 receptions, 984 yards, 11 touchdowns in 2023. The year before that, he had over 1,200 yards. Was just a monster. Was just a beast in college. Physical, dominant, yak, tough to bring down, tough to tackle, and really a guy that fits this offense and something that this offense needed. You know, from 2021 to 2023, Corley accumulated 2,068 yards after the catch, which was the most in the FBS. He was also very dangerous underneath. 38 of his 76 catches last year came from behind the line of scrimmage. In total, during his time at Western Kentucky, Corley had 259 receptions for 3,035 yards and 29 touchdowns. And those 29 touchdowns were tied for the second most in the FBS since 2021. So this was a guy that was really, we know, coming out of college as one of the more underrated wide receivers entering the draft, one of the more underrated wide receivers in college football during his time at a smaller school in Western Kentucky, where he spent 4 years there, going back to a shortened pandemic 2020 campaign where he was a freshman and didn't get a whole lot of playing time. But Corley fits what this offense needed. Rodgers needs that kind of underneath gadget slot guy that can be physical, break tackles, and make kind of nothing out of something, or one of these behind the line of scrimmage plays, turn it into a 15, 20-yard gain. This is a guy that can take a 3-4 yard mesh route and turn it into a 15 plus, 20 plus yard breakout play where you're getting a big chunk of yards, and he's doing it by breaking tackles. He's doing it by just being kind of a downhill runner when the ball's in his hands and providing that physicality. And that was really impressive, and something that the New York Jets clearly had in this draft class on their mind was to bring in physicality, to bring in thumpers. Malachi Corley is kind of a thumper at the receiver position. He's tough to bring down. He's physical. He's a monster. He's the Yak King. And in the next round, in the 4th round, they took a thumper in Braylon Allen. So 2 guys that kind of set the that'll help reset the identity of this offense, where you have your 80-20 jump ball, one-on-one dominant guy in Mike Williams, and then you have your all-around finesse, just legitimate number 1 receiver in Garrett Wilson. This team needed that other wideout, that Corley-type player, that Deebo Samuel hybrid-type guy that can do pretty much a little bit of everything. And I think your realistic expectations for Corley is to be used similar to the way Green Bay used Randall Cobb in his prime years with Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers always utilized his slot guys, those guys underneath, in some of those different gadget roles. Now, it'll be interesting to see what Corley's playing time is in the beginning of the year. Of course, that'll be something that kind of gets ironed out during training camp. You know, does Xavier Gipson impress enough in year number 2 during camp to get the starting gig week 1 out of the slot? Or does Corley show you enough during camp where maybe he gets the starting spot? I think Gipson will probably start the year at slot, and they'll kind of ease Corley into things, but we'll see. You know, it'll be a fun camp to see what Corley's like actually in pads. You know, for the way that he plays his game, for the way that he has success as a receiver, it was kind of tough to tell how much he was progressing through OTAs in the spring because, well, there was no pads. They were in shorts. And for a guy that he's going to make a living off of breaking tackles, can't really do that when you're in shorts. So I think you'll get a better idea where Corley's at in terms of a developmental standpoint in camp. So looking forward to him. He'll report today along with many other Jets rookies. And we'll see where he fits in with the offense. But just kind of want to do an overview on him. Of course, we'll do our player preview series. But good to see the deal get done. We talked about it on Wednesday with Ayuk, where they would have to give him a contract if they traded for him in a world where Brandon Ayuk became a New York Jet. You know, we talked about how Corley still had to get situated. You still have Hassan Reddick to get done. Hopefully that gets done here within the next week, ideally. Reddick comes in, he reports, they get something done, and we go into camp, we go into this season, and you don't focus on it, and then you readdress that situation in the offseason. But contract down, or seventh contract down, I should say, for the rookie class, and no more to go. And Malachi Corley is all ready for camp. Now, moving on here to Garrett Wilson, who will be alongside Malachi Corley this season. So we've talked about this a couple times. Quinnen Williams, Breece Hall, were both ranked number 2 at their positions in this poll. So ESPN is doing their preseason rankings. They are taking executives, coaches, and scouts from all across the NFL and getting their insight on every single position group in the NFL and every single position and ranking top 10 players at each position and honorable mentions. So wide receivers came out yesterday, and this was the list. Justin Jefferson, number 1. Tyreek Hill, number 2. For the YouTube audience, it's up on the screen. Jamar Chase, number 3. CeeDee Lamb, number 4. Devontae Adams, number 5. A.J. Brown, 6. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 7. Mike Evans, 8. Stephon Diggs, 9. And Brandon Ayuk, who we'll see what he does this year, who he plays with this year, rounded out at number 10. Now, honorable mentions for the New York Jets. They found one honorable mention on this list, and that was Garrett Wilson. The others were Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, Nico Collins, Amari Cooper, and DJ Moore were all the other honorable mentions. So essentially, if this is kind of the order that they're going in, and this sort of was the order that they went in. So you have your top 10. Your honorable mentions, I guess, can go in any order. But the order they listed them in, essentially they are saying that Garrett Wilson is the 13th best receiver in the NFL. Is what they're essentially telling you. Because Ayuk's 10, then Kupp's 11, Deebo Samuel's 12, Garrett Wilson's 13. And I don't think many people are probably too upset or disagree with that. You know, I think you can make a case for what Garrett Wilson's been given through his first 2 years in the NFL that he could be considered as a top 10 wideout right now. But I still think he's probably, I think most would agree, probably on the outside looking in. But look, we know what Garrett Wilson can do. You know, this is a guy that was ranked as a 3rd honorable mention, but there's a good chance we enter next year and he is top 7, top 6, top 5. That's how much Garrett Wilson's going to benefit from Aaron Rodgers. You know, this is a guy that had historically bad quarterback play. Historically bad. Not just bad, historically bad. And still went out there in his first 2 years and put up 1,000 yards in each of those 2 seasons. He was the first New York Jet to do that since Keyshawn Johnson back in 1988 and the 1999 season. Garrett Wilson through 2 years, 34 games played, 178 receptions, 2,145 yards, 7 touchdowns. With Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, Mike White, Tim Boyle, Trevor Siemian, heck, Chris Streveler in that Thursday night game against the Jaguars. Those were his quarterbacks. I might be missing a couple. I said Zach Wilson. Rodgers for only 4 plays. That's what's most cruel about it. It's not even that he had to play with those other guys for extensive time. He had a Hall of Fame quarterback for just 4 plays. And yet he was still able to go out there in what he called last year one of the worst years of his life because of all the hype, all the anticipation, all the potential with him and Rodgers to have him go down and have another year of Zach Wilson where he was clearly frustrated having to play with him as his quarterback. He still went out there and put up 1,042 yards and 95 receptions. He was 22nd in the NFL in yards and tied for 14th in receptions. So statistically, he is around that 15, 17 to like 13 range in terms of, yeah, he's a top 15 wideout in the NFL. But I've said this multiple times about Garrett Wilson. I think this is a guy that, look, he has more help around him, right? They added Mike Williams. Garrett Wilson last year, too, had no help. He was the only guy in the Jets offense really producing from a wide receiver perspective. They tried to have, Brownlee. They played Lazard. He was awful. Brownlee and Gibson didn't provide a whole lot. But now you have a receiving core where you added Mike Williams, right? You drafted Malachi Corley. Gibson in year 2 hopefully takes a jump. There are some ifs there, right? Mike Williams coming off an injury. Corley's still a rookie. But it's a lot better than what the Jets were working with last year, where Lazard was essentially your number 2, number 3 option. Lazard will be buried on the depth chart. That's a positive. So Garrett Wilson's got some more help. We know what he can do this year with Rodgers. I think this is a guy that at the end of this year, and I said it last year, and I'll say it again this year, at the end of this season, we'll put Garrett Wilson in the same breath as Jamar Chase and the CeeDee Lambs and the Amon-Ra St. Browns and the A.J. Browns. Those players, I think he'll be in the same breath as those guys. There was 3 receivers last year that had over 1,500 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill. I don't think it's crazy to say that Garrett Wilson can be one of the 3 or 4 receivers in the NFL this year that has over 1,500 receiving yards. And I think it's very possible that Garrett Wilson this season goes off for the New York Jets single-season receptions record, which is currently held by Brandon Marshall in his 2015 campaign where he had 109 receptions. Garrett Wilson had 95 last year. He had 83 his rookie year. Garrett Wilson should have no problem reaching 109 receptions. I also think receiving yards could be attainable for Garrett Wilson. Brandon Marshall in 2015 had 1,502. So if Garrett Wilson is as good as I think he is and as good as I think all of us think he is, Garrett Wilson has a chance this year to go off for 1,500 plus yards. More realistically, he'll probably be in the 1,350 to 1,400 yard range, which would still be a massive season with probably somewhere around 8 to 10 touchdowns. And this guy's going to get in the end zone. He hasn't gotten in the end zone much in his NFL career because, well, he's been a part of some of the worst red zone play calling in the NFL. This was the little blurb on Garrett Wilson. Managed back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons despite anemic quarterback play. Could experience his true breakout with Aaron Rodgers. Quote, I think he's the next young star. End quote, an NFL personnel director said. So exciting times for the New York Jets and Garrett Wilson. And again, we'll break all these players down here over the course of the next month and a half with our player preview series. 2 players every Monday, Wednesday, Friday up until week 1, Jets, Niners. So that'll do it for episode 326. Make sure to please like it, subscribe for those of you on YouTube, and of course, give us a 5-star on Apple Podcasts and all the different podcast platforms for those of you listening to the audio version. Once again, SeatGeek, promo code BubsOnSports for $20 off your first purchase. Click the link in the description down below to download the app and use promo code BubsOnSports for $20 off your first purchase. Anything you could think of that you can buy a ticket for, SeatGeek has it. So head on over there, get yourself in the action, whether, get yourself out to a Jet game, whatever, concert, whatever it may be. And when you're at checkout, use promo code BubsOnSports for $20 off your first purchase. Also, Huga House, see the hat I'm wearing. You want to get the hat Aaron Rodgers is wearing. You want to get the hat that Shane Gillis is wearing. Or Shohei Ohtani, or JT Realmuto, or Josh Allen, or the 10 brand new hats they just released that are going fast. Well, click the link in the description down below. That'll take you to the Huga House store. And at checkout, use promo code BUBS for 15% off any purchase. Get yourself some Huga House swag. All right, that'll do it. I will probably be back with an episode on Friday, so tomorrow, breaking down New York Jets defensive breakout candidates. I might have more content later on, depending on how much content comes out from rookie reporting. I don't think there will be a whole lot from the rookies reporting other than videos of them walking in, which in July, we're starving for football. So a video of Olu Fashanu and Braylon Allen and Malachi Corley walking into the Jets training facility is going to feel like a week 1 victory, but even though it's only July, because that's how hungry we are for football and content. So I don't think there'll be much, but as always, if there's any news, we'll be here. But Friday, we'll have our defensive breakout candidates out. Just like offense, we'll do 3 on defense. And then Monday starts the grind. We'll have episodes almost every single day here on out with training camp updates. Between that, we'll have some guests on. We'll have other news videos. We'll have our player previews every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we'll have many days. We'll have multiple episodes up. So exciting time. The content really kind of takes off here as training camp nears here in less than a week. So that'll do it. Another episode of In the Trenches with Gang Green in the books. Till next time, Jets, Jets, Jets.